Okay.
Welcome. Here we go. Welcome,
Here we
Cynthia.
go.
Welcome, audience. This is so cool. Y'all, today, first of all, thank you, Father, for the day and what we get to learn from each other and share, and the incredible people that we have the privilege of hearing from so that we can connect them with others that they're either aligned and that's just a great conversation, but really and truly to connect with one another for those that are in need of hearing the information. And this is a very cool day today. We've got Coach Cynthia Gregory. She is an author, a speaker, a coach. Right this minute, I mean, I've had the pleasure of getting to know Cynthia really just over the past couple of months. I It has been mind-boggling to say the least. She is working on something very exciting right now. Love Notes 3.0. And we're going to get Cynthia to tell us more about that. So, if you're able to just sit back, watch, and listen, get yourself a nice cup of coffee or a cup of tea or glass of wine or whatever it is and enjoy what Cynthia's going to share. Cynthia, welcome.
Thank you so much, Carol. I feel like I'm visiting home. We were sharing a little cup of coffee here between the two of us.
I love that so much. I love that. Tell us, your what has led you to this beautiful journey, if you will, of these amazing books, Love Notes 1.0, 2.0, and now
Well,
you're diving into
this
3.
was 1.0. It's pink, Love Notes from the Soul. Love Notes 2.0 has got a little bit of a lotus on it. It's a movement. It kind of took me, grabbed me and took me going. I'll tell you how it started. So, a couple years ago, a friend was turning 80 years old, and we live in California, and she said, "Hey, I'm going to a silent retreat down in Big Sur this weekend. Do you want to come?" And I said, "Why, yes, I do." Sounded really great. So we drive down the beautiful Pacific coast, in March of 23. And just above Big Sur, there's a Benedictine monastery in the middle of nowhere, high above the crashing surf. And I was sitting there one morning, and the Benedictines, they chant in the morning and they chant at night. That's part of their process, their prayer process. And so I was sitting in the morning mist reading Mary Oliver on a park bench on the property. They have a fabulous bookstore. And I'm reading Mary Oliver and listening to the monks chanting, and it's so beautiful. I'm just getting cracked open by the beauty of the moment. And I got an assignment. I very clearly heard three words. That was Love Notes Anthology. And I went, okay. I guess, okay. I'd never experienced something like that before. I'd been kind of thinking of a writing project, but nothing along those lines that kind of put me out there so directly. But I came back and I started talking to people and colleagues and friends about it, and they're like, wow, that's amazing. Yes, I want to be a part of that. So the first Love Notes book came out just less 11 months after that initial experience. Within a year, we had 30 authors from 7 countries around the world contributing to their stories of transformation. And I have this theory that we all have transformative experiences. It's not so much the experience, but what we do with it. And so they recognize that their story trajectory had changed and that it was actually a gift. So it
Mm,
was really beautiful. And then we
mm,
did it again last year. Well, yes, in 25, within a 12-month cycle, we produced a book with 28 authors um, sharing their stories of how they're creating a more compassionate world.
mm.
These aren't like these headliner heroes, right? These are just regular people on a daily basis doing all the things that take care of the people they love. And by extension, that butterfly effect just keeps spreading that out.
Yeah. And then, so you've had transformation, compassion, and let the audience know what this one is all about.
This one, I really felt compelled to raise the stakes every time. And so this one is going to be profiles in conscious leadership. I want to be talking with, I know I got to chill every time I say
Ah,
that.
ah.
Community leaders, nonprofit leaders, people who are doing things out of a commitment to humanity that they is part of their DNA. That's just how they show up. And I think that in a very fast news-paced world, we kind of it's easy to lose track of what's important.
Mm.
So these stories, bring us back to that. It's like it's about connection with other people. It's doing something for someone else. It's about making a positive difference, no matter, what that means to you. So
Just absolutely. I love everything about this because with all my heart, I believe that ultimately we have the exact same purpose, and that's to help one another.
Ram Dass said, we're all just walking each other home.
That it's the truth. And
Yeah.
I mean, again, and now I'm covered in chills. And I love an anthology
Mhm.
and to be connecting with leaders throughout communities in a manner that they are able to share. This is why, this is my story, and this is why I do what I do within this nonprofit, within my company, within my home, and then into the community.
Right,
It,
right.
it's interesting. I can't wait to speak with you more about, so often people do not see themselves as leaders.
I didn't. For the
And you
longest time, I didn't
are.
understand why people kept saying, you should take this on, you should do this.
Right. And it's because we see one another's as leaders. Wherever we
Yeah.
are and wherever we're showing up, whatever
Yeah.
role we're taking on, when we say yes, we are taking on a leadership role, saying that we as individuals are going to lead ourselves in a certain way.
Right. We're willing to take the kind of personal or professional risks that keep us in alignment with our core values.
Yes.
And that is a trajectory that's pretty much set from the get, right? And
Mm.
it doesn't take a whole lot to do it. It's easy to get distracted from it. I understand how that happens. But yeah, we're all leaders in our own way. And when I think about one of the things that I have encountered too, and I had a conversation with a friend about it yesterday. She goes, "Well, I think that, a lot of people don't want a lot of credit for themselves." And I'm like, I have to tell people again and again, I'm like, darling, it's not about you. No offense, and I love you so much. It's not about you. It's about the
Yeah.
effect you are having on the world. They're like, oh, if it's about their passion and their purpose for doing it, they're behind it. If they think it's about them, then they start, getting, oh, I'm not sure. And I'm like, really? It's about you giving other people permission by sharing your
Right.
own story. That's
Right.
where the power is.
The power is in the connection of
Yeah.
someone's truth, our day
Yes.
to day,
Yes.
regular, brutal, honest truth.
And that's all we have, right? When people go, I'm so afraid to share my story because people might not like it, they might judge me. And I'm like, it's your story to share.
That's right.
And what is your intention? Is your intention to hurt people? I don't think so, because if it was, we wouldn't be having this conversation, because that's not a love note. But but I think that when we stand on our values, we lead that way. And I'm excited about where we're going to go on this book because it always takes me someplace new that I have no idea of where we're going.
I love that because, pre-show, that I was so excited. I said, "Oh gosh, we need to jump on right now," because you said you can tell, you can feel that this 3.0, this Love Notes, it is taking you someplace and you feel the pull, you feel it happening, but you're not sure where that's going.
No, no, it is like a total walk-in trust. The first year that I produced Love Notes, I swear I was on my knees every day.
Hmm.
And I'm not a big, proselytizer or anything, but I was just always checking in, going, okay, now I know you gave me this assignment and I'm starting to feel really nervous. So it's like, would you open a door or window for me, like in the next, I don't know, 12 hours, because I really, really need it. Doors open, windows open, people showed up. When I needed resources, they showed up. It's almost like once you sign on for the assignment, it'll show you where to go. These are books that want to be written, and it's very clear to me that the voices that are attracted to it are very purposefully fully uh, scheduled to be in it, frankly.
I love that so much. And let me ask you, because I know the audience is wondering, you'll do this. Do you have a deadline in mind? When do you think this will happen? If by chance someone, I don't believe in a coincidence,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
someone listening says, oh gosh, this is really speaking to me. Of course, we'll have all the ways to get in touch with
yeah.
Cynthia for everyone. However, what would be, what are some of the, I don't know, clues or what do you share with people? Say, if this touches you, yes, contact me, or have somebody contact me if this sounds like someone you know. What are those notes that you give to people?
I think that partly I'm just drawn to people's stories. I'm like, how did you get where you are? What is it? What I often start with, I know in 2.0, I started this way a lot of times. I'd be having a casual conversation with somebody and I go, you've had a really remarkable career. You've achieved a lot. You've influenced a lot of people. Who was your inspiration? Who instilled those values in you? And then we go to a whole new place. And they
Yes,
get this dreamy look on their face. Oh, it was my father. I had this mentor fresh out of college. And that's when I know we have a story, because it's
yes.
tied to something that just comes welling up out of them that, oh, yeah. And that we all have those people in our lives. We are those people in our lives. And so, yes, do you have a story? Have you accomplished something? Do you have a career memoir? Do you have a professional memoir, a highlight in your career where you knew that what you were doing is going to live beyond you, or that what you were doing was the absolute right thing to do? Those are
Hmm.
the people I want to talk to, those people that maybe necessarily didn't have it, you know, the picture perfect circumstances, and yet what they drew from that was an inner courage or an inner vision that they didn't necessarily believe they had before, but they were tested and they found it. It's the classic Joseph Campbell's, hero's journey. What is your hero's journey? And a lot of people go, oh, it wasn't that remarkable, but it was remarkable. Maybe it's not remarkable to you, but your story could be somebody else's survival guide. So,
Oh
what
my
is it
gosh.
that you have to say?
Yes. And the audience knows because, we've been on a journey in this podcast together for quite some time. I believe in storytelling and I believe that our stories, I love that you have put it, our stories can be someone else's survival guide. So,
Yes, yes. It's
and it's just so often it's unbelievable that people do not realize the importance of their stories.
I want people to fall in love with their story. It's so beautiful when you give that kind of feedback to someone, you go, "Wow, how did you do that? That's amazing."
Yes.
And they recognize something courageous in themselves that when they finally relent to loving that piece of themselves without reservation, it offers such freedom
Mm.
and and makes all of our lives very purposeful,
Ah,
because we are here to impact one another, to
one.
support one another, to lift one another up. And if we can do that by sharing a story, that's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. Well, tell the audience a little bit about what led you in this direction. Tell us a bit about your story that, here we are, and now you're encouraging others to share their stories. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, I mean, I have always loved stories. I was a precocious fourth of five children, so I taught myself to read at age 4 because all the big kids were reading, you know. And I love stories. My sister and I would tell each other stories at night when we couldn't go to sleep.
Hmm.
And and then I went on and I fell in love with stories, and I started writing stories, and I started learning from masters and really kind of refining my ability to write and share a story. And then I got a journalism degree, and then I got a master's degree in literature, but I was always wanting to tell those stories. I collected so many rejection slips in sending those stories out. That's what you did in those days, is you mailed it out and you waited for a letter back. And I got a lot of rejection. And finally, and so I studied with another teacher. I studied a little bit harder. I wanted to really master this. And so I started getting little rejection slips with handwritten notes on them that said, "This is really good. Don't give up." And that's all I needed. I just kept doing that. And I was only sharing the stories that were, that I was noticing in the world. I was an observer. I was a quiet child, so I was the observer in the room and watching everything going on. And then later I start publishing and I'm helping other people publish. And now I'm in the place where I'm studying the psychology of storytelling, and our brains are actually wired for stories.
Hmm.
They're wired, they're pattern recognition machines. And so we notice a pattern of behavior and we make up a story about it. We have a constant narrator going on in our head, right? We're telling ourselves stories all the time. Sometimes they're true and sometimes they're not,
Key word
right?
sometimes, right?
Yeah. And all the wisdom, teachers say, if you want somebody to remember what you're going to say, tell a story. Jesus told stories all the time. That's what the parables were,
Hmm.
right? You want somebody to remember something, tell them a story. And this was also there was some writing, but not everybody was literate. So it was mainly an oral storytelling tradition. And that's how we shared the wisdom from one generation to another. So, and then we started painting pictures on cave walls, telling stories.
Right.
So, I think that literature and technology is finally catching up to the fact that we are story making creatures. You know, Children love to have stories told to them.
Oh, when I have the complete privilege to stay with, or our grandkids stay with us, two of our three precious grandbaby girls, they say, okay, after we say our prayers, 5 stories. 5 stories. Tell us about when dad was little. 5 stories. And I'll say, okay, we'll do two. And we always settle at three. I love the number three. And it's all about the stories. That's what they want to hear.
Right, right, yes. And I speak around town. I go to Rotary meetings and talk about the books and about the difference between legacy publishing and indie publishing. And, there's always some older guests in the room, and I say, please share your stories, because when you're gone, your voice is gone, and those stories die with you.
That's right.
So, talk into your phone and record it if writing is difficult, but find a way to share the stories. They're so, so critical.
But critical.
I know.
It's really wonderful. It's something I want to back up to something you said. You collected your rejection letters. I want to point out to the audience there was a willingness to be rejected. There was a willingness to do the work. There was a willingness. I mean, I'm covered in chills, to be okay with hearing back. And then again, pointing out to the audience, she was getting rejection letters, but then she started getting notes with them. Even the rejection started to be softer. And the next thing you know, she is this incredible author.
I like to say that I developed a pretty thick skin. I'm very editable because I no longer, I'll tell you, some of those rejection slips sent me to bed for a week. I won't lie. I mean, it's
Right.
like it's your baby, but after a while you start getting smarter about it and you recognize that it's a business. And then I started sending out proposals for two stories at a time or two articles at a time. So I wasn't saying, is it a yes or is it a no? It was like, which one would you like?
That was a great strategy.
Right? Well, I was also back in the day, as I said, when you had to send a letter and you had to wait for it to come back. And the rule back then was no simultaneous submissions. And I'm like, I'll be dead in my grave if I wait for that. And so I did run into a time when I won an award. I took a national contest by storm and I won the first place. And then a magazine wanted to publish, and their rules were first time only. And I'm like, sorry, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it just took first prize in this national award. I would love for you to republish it if you would like to, but it is previously published. They were not happy with me, but otherwise I could have been years before I was waiting around to get, accepted. So yeah, don't let the rejection stop you. If there's something you really, really want, the rejection's only going to make you look at yourself a little bit harder, get up a little earlier, work a little harder. That's all.
Yeah. And that's a wonderful lesson and a wonderful reminder for all of us. You kind of know how much you want something, how willing you are to persevere, to learn more. And I love that you are, I hope I am as well, that you are editable.
Yes. Oh
You
my gosh.
have to
No.
be.
Sometimes I am the least objective person when it comes to my writing. I have an editor that's been my editor for 40 years, and I depend on her to tell me the truth, whether I like it or not. And sometimes I don't. And sometimes I have to I'll throw a little snippet, but then I'll go away and think about it and go, yeah, it's probably right, you know? So yeah, you have to be willing to be wrong
Mm,
in or in service to the greater vision, which
mm,
is if I need to work harder on my grammar, I guess I better do that. If I need to get better at finding an interesting way to tell a story that beats out 20 other competitors for a national award, I guess I'll do that.
hmm
I
This is
took,
incredible. And I do want to point out also to the audience and remind them, because I know that you, Cynthia, and I share this, that does not mean that the contributors, the co-authors to the anthologies, they don't have to be writers.
no, for a lot of them, I had to do heavy editing. But,
Yes.
and they got the credit for it. So it doesn't really matter in the end, right? It doesn't matter whose name goes on it as long as it elevates the reader, touches their heart, and tells a true and valid story. That's my criteria.
I love that. Let's say it again for the audience. Elevates the reader,
Touches their hearts,
touches their hearts.
and tells a and, true and unique story.
Tells a true and unique story. And that's what we all are. We are unique stories. We are unique storytellers. Everything about us. We may have so many things the same, which we do as human beings.
Right.
Our stories, our perspective, what we are sharing that touched us, it's different for each one of us.
Every single one of us. What I love about the anthologies is they have a single theme, but and I have two examples of almost 60 ways of approaching those same themes.
That's
All
right.
these writers together, right? It's like, tell me about your experience about the XYZ. And they all do, but their experiences are all so different. They
It's
come from it from all of those different directions. They come to that subject of love in a way that is as unique as their fingerprints.
Ah, I wish and I know that the audience will be excited. We'll continue these conversations with
Yeah.
wonderful Cynthia, and we'll hear more about her book and maybe more about the co-authors and such. Cynthia, thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol. I would love to have your voice in the next book.
Oh my goodness. You know, we're going to talk about that. We have a lot of books going on, don't we?
We
Audience,
do.
thank you. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Cynthia. Audience, you know, I'm crazy for you and appreciate you. Hook 'em.
Huge love.